small subway.
There she is in all her glory.
So if you're interested, I have about a 5 or 10 minute presentation. You can take a seat if you want.
Okay.
We'll just talk about the model and its original aircraft in the Aerodome. So starting with the model, it was built in Downsview at a museum called the Toronto Aerospace Museum, and it was meant to show off all the aerospace activities that have been going on in the Toronto area over the decades. The volunteers there, about 150 of them, had been previous Aerodome employees. They saw the movie that CBC put out. That replica was built out west starting in Saskatchewan with a farmer. He had started building an Aero cockpit out of wooden structure. And when the movie came along, a lot of volunteers on that movie decided they would put together a full-scale model of the Aero to serve in the movie. Unfortunately, that didn't have the structural integrity to be able to stand by itself. The wingtips drooped quite a bit, such that they had to prop them up with stakes to make sure that it kept the correct shape. So the volunteers there at Downsview took on the job of building a full-scale, externally representative of the Edenvale era, and they built it with aircraft-grade materials. And that's why it looks so good still. They started that in 1997 with a lot of help and support from the Lieutenant General at the time, David Onley, and other people started dropping by and noticing the activity, and they're giving their support. Notably Jan Sierkowski, who was the chief test pilot at Aerodome during these days, and also James Floyd, who was the vice president of engineering at Edenvale. Now, Mr. Floyd, he actually put in the last rivet into this model, and he did that in October of 2006, and we have a plaque on the landing gear door there to commemorate that. Neither of those people are still with us. I don't know about David Onley, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still around. So they started out in 1997. They rolled it out to the public for the first time in October of 2006. And from there, it rolled around the Haviland facilities there at Downsview, showing off its capabilities, and at their various events such as Wings and Wheels, Open Doors Toronto, that sort of thing. And then in 2011, they were told to pack up their facility there at Downsview. They didn't give them another place to go to, so Toronto Airport, GTA, decided they would store it until the museum had a better place to put it. So then in 2018, Mr. Krupa found out about it, and he said, I have a hangar that will just fit it. And he brought the whole collection up here, the 2 aircraft outside, and everything that you see in the hangar here. The model itself, as I say, is actual full scale, so 79 feet long, 50 feet wide at the wingtips, and 21 feet high at the top of the tail. Now the only thing that doesn't make it a proper replica is it has no engine in it. The internal structure is all made out of square tubing welded together. That tubing was provided by a company in Toronto. The skimming on it is all aluminum, provided by Alcan Canada. The landing gear is a replica built by Messi Dowdy. Dowdy was the original builder of the landing gear for the Aerodome back in the late 50s. So they had drawings and stuff still left over, so they made these as replicas for this model. And of course the paint job. How do you paint something this big? Well, Bombardier, who was there at de Havilland, took over the Having facilities in the late 90s, and was able to fit this in between doing their business jets there at Downsview. None of that is there anymore. Of course, Bombardier moved to the north part of Pearson Airport there and have a great big building there for building their business jets. And the rest of Downsview is being refurbished as a residential and commercial area now, much like Buttonville. Anyways, so that's the model itself. The Avro Aero was started in 1953 to Canadian Air Force specification that said we needed something faster and better performance than what we're getting from the CF-100s, which were used as the Arctic Patrol and Interceptor range. Also built by Avro there at Moulton. Now, Avro had moved here from Britain in the late 40s, took over the facilities there at the Moulton plant, where Victor Aircraft had been building the Lancasters to go over to Europe. Altogether, they started in 1942 and built 450 Lancasters that ended up in Europe. Some of them made it over there before hostilities ended, but they all came back to Canada to be used in the war in Japan. Of course, that ended very abruptly. And the rest of them were used there at Moulton and converted to civilian use and for search and rescue duties. So that's why you see the Lancaster in here and search and rescue and patrol colors. So starting in 1953, Avro worked on this big specification that said we need an interceptor to be able to start from a cold start, meaning they had to force the jet engines to start up properly and get to a height of 60,000 feet in under 9 minutes. That required performance value of about Mach 2 to climb to that area. Most of the aircraft at that time was still under Mach 2, but they were able to reach Mach 2 in a dive type of thing with gravity assist. So the Aero itself was designed from scratch to fly to those parameters, and it was also going to be primarily a missile aircraft. The speed that they were going was not going to be effective for a gun mounting. So the Canadian Air Force couldn't decide on what kind of weapons they wanted on it, so they knew it had to be internal to storage because of the speed that they were trying to reach. And Avro said, well, while your guys are making up your mind, we'll build a weapons pack. The pack is configured for each type of weapon that you want. When it comes back from its mission, they unload the used up pack with the used up weapons, moved it out of the way, moved in a new pack with the new weapons in it, and it was ready to go in another half hour, which is about the time it took to refuel it as well. So there you have it, the engines. The first 5 aircraft off the line were Mark 1s. These were fitted with Pratt & Whitney J75 engines because the engine that had been designed from scratch for the Aero itself had been Rolls-Royce RB106 engines, which Rolls-Royce got out of that contract fairly soon in the development of the Aero. So Avro decided they were going to build their own. They already had a design in mind at their Edenvale plant, which is just across the road from the Aero plant. And the aircraft, it was going to be like bleeding edge for its day and age. Primarily dealt, the design and construction of it primarily dealt with titanium. Primarily in the compressor stage with the fan built out of titanium, which gave it great strength and also great weight characteristics. So the Aeroplane itself, only a few times on a B-47 bomber that they had borrowed from the U.S. Air Force. and it never got into a flying aircraft itself. The last day that the arrows flew was February 19th, 1959, and then on February the 20th, which we commonly call Black Friday, Mr. Edenvale, the Prime Minister, got up in the House of Commons and said, we've had it with the costs involved in this R&D project, but we're cancelling the whole thing outright. No more money is going into it, and all of your contracts with other suppliers and the Iroquois engine itself is also cancelled. So Arrow had no other projects for the employees to work on, so they laid everybody off, gave them their red flag, red ticket, and said we'll be calling people back next week to work on some minor projects that we have going and to clean up what's left of the Arrow. And then what were the engineers and designers going to do? They had no other projects to work on, so 50 of them went south to NASA, worked on the spacecraft projects there. Some of them also went to U.S. aircraft manufacturers. 6 of them went back to Britain with Mr. Floyd, and they worked on the Concorde, which is very similar in shape. What else have I got? So then in April, the order came down from Defense Production Department to say that we had no use for these existing aircraft and old facilities. So told Avro to cut them up, sell them for scrap, and if you don't do it, we will move in with Army constructors and tear it apart ourselves. So Avro had no recourse but to agree to that order. So a lot of it went to metal scrapyards in Etobicoke and Hamilton. Some of the instruments that have been rented from other suppliers went back to them, and it was altogether there was about 15,000 people laid off in one day at the Avro facilities there. As I say, some of the engineers and designers had other jobs to go to. Some of the non-skilled workers ended up as taxi drivers, real estate brokers, you name it. And there's rumors of several what I was trying to say. Suicides.
Damn.
Because you think, as an Avro employee, you're going to have worked for many years working on this aircraft. Some of them had brought high value mortgages. Some of them also bought Avro stock. And they were laid off. That stock went to zero because there was no other work for Avro people. And as I say, a lot of the people couldn't carry on and just decided to end it all. Mr. Diefenbaker always pronounced that decision was good for Canada. And again, maybe good for their people in government, but not for the former employees. But I don't want to get into politics here. We're just talking about the end. So as I say, that's about it for this model and the Arrow. We have other pieces in the collection here that you're welcome to walk around and take pictures of. Just for instance, the Tiger Moth was built at De Havilland in Britain starting in the 1930s. It was meant as a training aircraft, so it always was a 2-seater. Now this one came from De Havilland and Downsview because they wanted to Canadianize the Tiger Moth, and one part of that was building a canopy for it, ruggedizing the landing gear, and providing a tail wheel rather than a tail skid, because in Britain, most airfields training airfields there were grass runways. So the tail wheel helped them come off the pavement runways that are here in Canada. Behind that we have a helicopter. The helicopter served in Serbia and Croatia during the 1980s, and it's called a Kiowa, or in other words, a baby Huey, because it looks so much like a Huey helicopter. Built by the same company, mainly designed for reconnaissance and troop deployment. Then on the back wall we have several jet engines. The one beside the Arrow there is a mock-up of the Iroquois. This was built for the movie that CBC showed. So as I said, it's a mock-up and was displayed in the movie to various points. On the back wall, on the one on the right, is a Orenda 14. This was a jet engine designed by Orenda during the 1950s and was intended for the CF-100s and the CF-86 Sabres. And then next to that is a Rolls-Royce Derwent engine. The Derwent was in popular use in Britain, primarily in the Gloucester Meteors, but it was also used in the Avro jetliner that came out of Avro during the late 40s. This was intended to be the first jet airliner in the world. Unfortunately, it was beat out by the de Havilland Comet by 2 weeks, so it never got to its full potential. The original contractor for it was TC8, Trans-Canada Airlines, who built the spec, and then halfway through the contract they decided they didn't want it anymore, so they tried to market it in the US, with several airlines there, and eventually the Canadian government told them to stop playing around with civil aircraft and work on military aircraft only. So that was the end of that. They also have several artifacts from Lancasters. As I say, Lancasters were built at the Malton plant there during the 40s, and we've managed to save a few pieces. Merlin engine, for instance, and 2 gunnery turrets. And then we have a simulator for the F-101 Voodoos. The Voodoos were what we bought from the States after we canceled the Arrow, and it was used on Arctic patrol for quite a few years. And new to our museum here is a space section. Right now we only have a replica of the Alouette satellite. The Alouette was the first satellite launched by Canada, and it served to map the upper ionosphere. This was, the ionosphere is the upper part of the atmosphere that serves as to bounce radio and radar signals off of it to reach greater distances than you would by straight line radio. And let's see, we have a commercial model of the Arrow. a few of those are in existence, you'll see them around. And we have a children's section with coloring pages, paper aircraft, and missiles, and that sort of thing. And you're welcome to peruse our gift shop. If you want to buy anything, I'll take your money there. Okay.
Question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that five came off the line.
Yeah.
Did they all fly at one point?
Yes.
They did.
Yep.
When they destroyed them, they had 5 to destroy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, 6 actually, because 206 had just gone off the line, was going to be the first to have Iroquois engines in it. And that was on the day of cancellation.
So it never made it into the air. Yeah.
So 206 mill section is in Ottawa at the museum there.
Okay.
That's the only pieces of the Arrow that we have left.
Right.
But the replicas, as I say, this is a full-scale replica. The replica for the CBC movie is out in Alberta at the Reynolds Museum. And in Calgary, there's a museum called the Aerodome Museum, and they were building a 60% scale model of the Arrow to carry two pilots, or a pilot and passenger anyways, and be able to fly the air shows around the world.
Really?
And there was an 80% model that was just recently mounted in Malton, there beside the CF-100s.
I saw that just like last week.
Yeah.
Where? In Malton. Kind of where, near down here,
Malton is the corner of Derry Road and Airport Road.
right? It's where the,
You
yeah,
go east on Derry Road, you'll come to what they call Paul Coffey Park. There's a arena there as well. It's right next door to that.
So after the Aero project, Aerodome didn't build any more aircraft?
No.
That was it
Well,
for
one thing
Aero?
they did build is the Avro car, which is the original flying saucer.
Car.
Yeah, you can see it on display there.
Is that a novelty thing though?
Well, we built two prototypes for the SF-14 design. One went directly to Langley, or driving back to the necessitated late ones there. And one was kept back to the Malton for our test.
Okay.
And we had some scale where we could 2 feet. There's some work to do in the controls.
Okay.
And USF Wilson Science decided they would go with helicopters instead. Because they showed just one of the flight came out of training in World War II. The Edenvale type.
Oh yeah, and there's a promotional poster for the movie The Arrow, starring Dan Aykroyd and Christopher Plummer. Yeah, I guess you can climb inside. That's pretty cool. Wonder if that's what caused the whole Roswell incident. It's like a space plane. Wonder if this is where the inspiration for R2D2 came from. There's Sputnik, first probe to be launched in space by the Russians.
Yes. It was supposed to be part of my field too, but I forgot about it, sorry.
Yeah.
So it was rolled out October 4th, 1957.
Yeah.
And they're expecting worldwide coverage in newspapers and so on. But that was the same day that Russia launched Sputnik. And overnight, the strategic thinking was we don't need land interceptors anymore for bombers. We need interceptors for ballistic missiles, throwing things like that over North America.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, more people should visit this museum. It's located in Edenvale, Ontario, just near my hometown of Barrie. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more content.